All right, well, hello, good morning. I know people trickle in kind of late, but it is 9:01. So Matt, if you want to go ahead and get started.
Yes,
Everybody,
ma'am.
this is Matt Beret. He will introduce himself, but he's probably one of the coolest people y'all will meet. And I personally will volunteer him to help you guys in any capacity that you need in regards to seller appointments. So without further ado, Matt, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mitch. I pay Kayla handsomely to say those wonderful things in lunches and in monetary values.
I'm just expecting one of those swishy vests for Christmas. That's all.
Yeah, I only wear this because of you. I don't need to wear it unless it's because I see you. Well, good morning, all. How are all we on a Friday? We doing good? Doing good? Okay, everyone's got a little bit of a nod of the head there. Doing good, okay. Please, if you have questions through this, feel free to unmute yourself, ask the question, okay? You do have to sit with your hand up, okay? Raise your hand in the air first before you want to ask a question, and then when you want to ask a question, I'll pick on you. I'm just kidding. Just jump in, ask questions, but try not to trample over each other, you know, when you're asking questions. If you've got kids or cats in the background that are noisy, please keep yourself on mute. If not, unmute yourself, let's chat. It's going to be a fun, big night class, okay? So we have Nicole, Heather, okay, Letha.
Yeah.
Letha. Okay, wonderful. That's a beautiful name. We also have Christian, and then we have Valerie, who has no picture. So Nicole, first off, how long have you been in real estate? How long have you been with KW?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Just a month since life.
Okay.
I think it was like November 13th. So I'm raw rookie, and it was like a couple few days after that I joined Keller. JT is my sponsor. You know JT Tigas.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So anyway, it's been a whirlwind of trying to learn. And
absolutely, I love it. You just kind of like deer in the headlights. Oh my God.
A little
bit. I love that. Well, you are prepared to be hit by a semi truck today, okay? Because I'm
great.
No, I'm just kidding. It's going to be a great class. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. I'm looking forward to helping you through this one. Miss Heather and her companion. How long have you been licensed? How long have you been with KW?
I have been licensed since the end of October and with Keller Williams since the beginning of November.
Wonderful. And who's your assistant that you have? Who's your transaction coordinator that's there with you?
This is Nikolai.
Hey, Nikolai, how you doing? You're going to learn a lot today. You and Mommy are going to learn a lot today. I love that. Letha, how about yourself?
I've been in real estate a year and a half. I've been with Keller Williams since December 6th.
Wonderful. Okay, so you've probably gone through a couple of what we're going to hit today. You've probably done some. You've probably done some seller appointments in that year and a half. But so hopefully you're going to, a lot of this is going to resonate with you, and hopefully you pick up a little things to dial that in, fine tune, and get some more listings, which is what we all want, right? Which is wonderful. Jennifer, I saw you pop in. No, she's gone again. Okay. Christian, are you with us? Can you hear us? I think we lost Christian. He's not there. Okay. We also have a Valerie. Valerie, are you there? If you are, unmute and say hi. Nope, no Valerie. Oh.
Valeria.
Hey.
I've been licensed also since the end of October, and with Keller Williams at the end of October as well.
Wonderful. Well, I love it. So we've really got some fresh people here too, which is fantastic. I love that, which means I can corrupt you in the most greatest of ways. And then Walter, we have a Walter here as well. If you are here, unmute, say hi. Trust the two boys in the. Oh, there he is, Walter. How you doing, my friend?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So same question applies. How long have you been licensed? How long have you been with KW?
2.5 years licensed, 2 years with KW.
Love that. All right, fantastic. And then we got Jason Thompson just jumped on. Everybody knows Jason, which is awesome. If you don't know Jason, take the time to know Jason. This guy probably took what, Kayla? 6 months to get his license. The guy was in the office every day, sweating away, asking questions. Yeah, it's probably about a year, let's be honest. But he just worked his ass off, was in the office every day, asking questions, gaining the knowledge, gaining the swing of things, went and took his license, got licensed, and then literally got somebody on the contract within a week of getting his license. So big up to you, Jason. Thanks for returning. Thanks for doing this class again. I love that.
Appreciate it. I got to correct you though. It was first day I got licensed, I got one under contract, and then I just got another listing yesterday. Not to like throw that out there.
Nobody likes to show off, Jason. Okay, get out of here. All right. Hey, I'll take that. I'll stand corrected. That's amazing. 1 day licensed and got somebody under contract. That's awesome. Okay, so let's dive into this. You're going to be switching between seeing me, and I'm going to be showing you some slides too, pulling up my screen and showing you some information on the slides, okay? Again, if any of you have questions, unmute yourself, ask your question, jump in. I will be giving you a brew break, not because you need it, but I'll need it. So I'm an Englishman, I drink a lot of tea, so you will be getting brew breaks. And if you need the toilet, cross your legs and just raise your hand and I'll send you, okay? All right, everybody good? Ready to start? Let's get going. Having fun already? Yeah, okay. So it says here in my notes that I'm to introduce myself. Okay, so Matt Beret, I've been licensed coming up for 4 years. Before that, I was in the British military, moved over to Arizona in 2011. I've only ever lived in Tucson, which is awesome. But got into real estate 3.5 years ago, joined a team with my father-in-law, Tom Krieger. The battle plan was for him to retire and me to take over, and that still is the plan next year. But I've been licensed 3.5 years, nearly coming up 4 years. This year, I will have done just over 50 transactions by myself, about 100 transactions between the two of us on the team. I'm in real estate coaching with Tom Ferry, if any of you know of or heard of Tom Ferry. I'm in real estate coaching, so I'm just passionate about real estate. I'm one of these people that has an addictive personality. So if you put something in front of me that's addictive and fun, I am all in, baby. And real estate is that. Real estate's addictive and fun. It's my drug. I love it. I love meeting new people. I love meeting new agents like yourselves. I love problem solving, which really, that's all real estate is. You know, when you come to the grand scheme of it, it's a problem. Buyers have a problem. They either don't love the house they're in anymore, so they want to buy a new one, or they're sick of renting and then they want to buy one. And with sellers, they hate the house they're living in, so they want to sell it, or, you know, they want to make some money, so they want to sell it. So it's always a problem. It's problem solving. That's all real estate is. So that's a little bit about me. I'm not going to go into too much. If you want to know more about me, there are certain websites out there where if you put my name in, you'll get to them. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Kayla's like, oh my God, he's talking about those sites again. No, I'm just kidding.
You give us your phone number?
Say it over.
Your phone number?
You can get my phone number. Yes, I will give you my phone number. I'm in my email at the end of the class. If you have any questions, you can text me. You can find out the details. So what are the expectations of this session? Okay, we are going to have a couple of brew breaks. As I said, we are going to have a little break in the middle for y'all to take 10 or 15 minutes, go get a snack, re-energize, get some daylight, some fresh air, because you're probably spending your entire life stuck in front of a computer screen. But we're also going to go through, you know, the elements of the seller appointment. Okay, that's the goal for today. So what we will be focusing on today is we are going to focus on growing your business. Obviously, that's the first thing. You're all here so we can grow our business. We want to grow that business by getting and having a successful seller appointment that actually leads to the seller saying yes to you and putting their signature on that piece of paper right next to yours that says, hey baby, sell my house. Okay, so that's the goal for today. We're going to talk about making seller, this is obviously the seller presentation. The big thing that I want to focus on is in seller appointments is it's not just about, and we'll dig into this, it's not just about what you can do, what Keller Williams can do, the bells and whistles of what we do as real estate. I have found that sellers buy you, they don't buy what you can do. Does that make sense? Like if they relate to you as an individual, if they buy into you and trust you, what comes out of your mouth about how you're going to sell their house is all like, just goes over the head. They don't care. All right. Like I have literally been on seller appointments where we've sat down and chatted for an hour and haven't even talked about real estate. And at the end of it, they're like, well, yeah, you're the guy. I guess I should ask how you're going to do it. I'm like, sure, let's go through the presentation, right? That's what you want to get to, okay? You want that to happen where people are so enthralled with you and trust you and like you and connect with you that they just turn and say, hey, you're my gal, you're my guy, go sell my house, okay? So that's what we're going to get to today. We're going to work on that, all right? So, and I apologize, I'm going through notes here and I've got slides here and like, I'm everywhere. So if you see me looking all over the screen, I apologize in advance. Okay, so the agenda for today is we're going to look at what sellers say they want and how that affects your conversations with them. And I'm just going to make sure I'm on the same page over here. Yes, I am. We're going to talk about before the appointment. All right. So the best listing appointments are continuations of an ongoing conversation. That happens a lot, right? It's very different. It doesn't happen very often where your phone rings, you pick it up and somebody says, hey, hey, Nicole, I'd love you to come by tomorrow at 5 and sell my house. Like, yeah, right. She's like, I wish. Yeah, we all wish. Okay. I will tell you this, it will happen in time when you build trust, when you build your brand, when people know you and know of you, that will happen. It actually happened to me 2 weeks ago. My phone rang with a random number. I picked it up and it was a woman who was like, hey, my name's Madeline. I lived next door to the people whose house you sold in April. You sold theirs in one weekend. Can you come and sell mine? I was like, oh, I was like, yes, I can. Okay. So it will happen. All right. It will happen. But genuinely starting out for a lot of you, it's going to be an ongoing conversation. It's going to be a conversation where you pick up the thread of somebody saying, well, we're thinking about selling, we're thinking about moving. And it's going to be that case of, well, tell me more. And you ask questions and you dig in and then you start to build and it becomes an ongoing conversation to the point where they turn around and say, you know what, you're right, you're absolutely right. You know what we want. You've confirmed with us that it's a good idea. Let's sell. Okay. So it's going to be a building of an ongoing conversation. We're going to talk about the listing presentation. Okay. And we're also going to talk about the listing appointment. So those are the things we're going to touch on today. All right. Any questions so far? Everybody good? Thumbs up. Yeah, love it. Okay, so let's talk about how sellers find their agent. So I'm going to do a little screen share here. And I'm assuming that most of this is going to be in your packets already. But let's look about how sellers found their agent. So obviously this is the National Association of Realtors source of 2019. Look at that huge section of that pie. Can you all see that? I just want to make sure you've all got that screen. We all good? You can all see that? Okay. Huge section of that pie. 39% of it referred by a friend, a neighbor, or a relative. Okay. That's huge. Okay. 22% is other. 27% there, they used the agent previously. Okay. The smaller percentages, we've got personal contact, internet or website, or they visited an open house or met the agent. Okay, that other, I'm assuming, could be sign calls, mailers, marketing, that type of stuff. But the two big ones, use the agent previously and then referred by a friend, a neighbor, or a relative. What does that say to you? Okay, any of you, jump in, unmute. What does that screen say to any of you?
That people buy from people they like, and you better get all those referrals from people you know.
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, absolutely. Later, you're going to jump in and say something.
Yeah, nurture your relationships and,
Okay.
and your database.
Yeah, absolutely. Database. Did you hear that? Database. 39% of people who are using you who are referred by a friend, a neighbor, or a relative. Okay. The other 27% have used you previously. Does this not tell you that your database is huge and is the most important thing that you can build, work on, and nurture? Yes or yes? Yeah, right? Okay. You may think it's completely benign to call or text or email your family and your relatives, letting them know you're in real estate. You're like, well, they know. I don't need to call my aunt, my uncle, my cousin, my sister, my brother. They know I'm in real estate. They do. But unless you keep top of mind when they hear people or meet people that are thinking about buying or selling, and it doesn't need to be here in Tucson, remember, okay? It can be anywhere in the nation. It can be anywhere in the world. It's called a referral. They need to be like, you need to talk to my sister, Nicole. You need to talk to my Aunt Letha. You need to talk to my best friend, Heather, right? That's what we need to do. So it is huge and imperative that you build and work on your database. Okay, can we do you see the numbers? Like, I'm not just making this shit up. Like, the numbers tell you to smash your database. Okay, so that leads into building your 8x8s, building those drip campaigns, building those text message campaigns. Okay, picking up the damn phone. What I've told people to do in the past is print out a $sign and stick it to the back of your phone, right? So when you're sitting there going, "Ooh, how am I going to make my bills today?" Guess what, baby? Pick it up. It'll make you money. Pick it up. All right. It's easy. It's easy. So that's how sellers found their agents. Okay, referred by a friend, neighbor, or relative, or they used you previously. So I want to instill into all of you that past clients should not be a transaction. All right. Do not put the label of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the Joneses, the Browns as a transaction or even an address, 123 Nunna Street. Don't make it like that. Make it a relationship. All right. I work really hard with my clients to find out like their dog's name, their birthdays, their anniversaries, how they met, where they met. I like to get engaged with my clients and not just be like, oh, you like this house, you like this street, you like this neighborhood. I'm like, guys, how do y'all meet? What's your story? Like, and they love to talk about themselves, and they'll tell you about, oh, we met 30 years ago and blah, blah. Great. Take all that down. Put that shit in your database. Okay? Because when it comes round to that anniversary of their personal anniversary or their home anniversary, when they get a card in the mail from Heather that says, "Hey, Bob and Sue, hope you guys have a wonderful anniversary, thinking of you, Heather." They're gonna be like, Jesus, that's every year we get a card from our realtor who bought our house from 5 years ago. Without a beat, she always sends us a personal anniversary card, a Christmas card, a Thanksgiving card, and a house anniversary. She's the sweetest. She's the only agent we're ever going to use. Like, little stuff like that. Build the relationships, baby. I'm telling you, people love that shit. And if you can remember the dog's name and make friends with the dog or the cat or the camel or the llama that they've got in the backyard, they love that too. I'm telling you. I get a lot of my business because I love on the dog. I walked into a listing presentation the other day. I spent 5 minutes on the floor with the dog before I was like, okay, I'm sorry. Now I've spoke to the owner of the home. Let's talk to the people who can converse about selling the home.
I'm taking my puppy with me cold calling.
There we go. Do that, man. Hey, cold calling and door knocking, take your kids. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Take your kids or your puppies, man. I'm telling you, there's no better business card than kids and puppies. There we go. Okay, so from this small little segment about how sellers find their agent, what are we gleaning from this? What's the takeaways? Okay, you're all on quiet, so it makes me feel like you're saying something, but you're not saying something. Come on, talk to me, baby.
Relationships.
There we go. Absolutely, relationships. Yep. Relationships. Would you be surprised to learn that 75% of sellers only contact one agent before selecting one, and that 15% of agents talk to two agents before selecting one? So 75% of sellers only talk to one agent. One agent. How badly do you think that first impression needs to stick?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I will tell you this. There is no, and I will say this till I'm blue in the face, there is no image of what an agent needs to look like. All right. I'm 6'2", 260 plus pounds, British, bald, you know, with a beard, ex-rugby player. I am not the slim three-piece suit driving a Lamborghini type realtor that you see portrayed on television. It is bullshit. I'm just saying it out straight. I'm wearing a long sleeve t-shirt, jeans and cowboy boots right now. And this is pretty much what I do to sell real estate. Do you know the amount of people I've walked into their homes that look like me? How many people here do you think are in Tucson that homes you're going to sell that wear a three-piece suit every day? Not that many. This is Tucson, not LA. This is not the Beverly Hills. You know what I mean? So I've gone to appointments with dress pants and shirt, and the person I'm sat across the table to is wearing basketball shorts and a t-shirt. Guess who feels out of place? This guy, not the homeowner. All right. So you do your vibe, be comfortable, embrace it. If that seller, you know, comments on the way you dress, then they got problems they need to deal with, baby. You do you. I'm telling you, I do all right for myself, and I wear cowboy boots and jeans every day. So be comfortable, do you. People, I pulled up to a listing once in my truck. I used to drive an F-150, and I was the fourth agent to be interviewed that day. And I pulled up in my truck, got out, and I'd got a t-shirt on, jeans and cowboy boots. I got a sports jacket on, and knocked on the door, and the seller came to the door, and he looked past me and went, "Thank God somebody who's driving a proper vehicle." And I was like, excuse me? He goes, "Yeah, everybody else that showed up today are driving those fancy Priuses and the fancy, you know, Mercedes and all that shit." He goes, "At least somebody knows how to drive a real vehicle." I went, "Yes, sir." He goes, "Well, you better come on in and talk about how we're going to sell this house." No shit, I'm telling you. So be you, be true. Okay. So talking about what sellers want and first impressions, let me share my screen again, going back and forth here. So what sellers want. All right, let's look at these numbers. Let's break these down a little bit. 21% of sellers want help marketing the home. All right, they want help marketing the home. 20% of those, they want help selling the home in a specific time frame. Okay, these will be good things to note, okay? Because these are your seller triggers. So I would note these down. And you probably have them in your handouts, in your books. If you do, just raise your hand. You have them you have this in your book. Okay, great. So then don't write it down. Maybe asterisk it and, you know, come back to it. 19% want help pricing the home competitively. 16% want help fixing up the home and to sell it for more. 13% want help finding a buyer, and 11% want other. So what does this show us? The two main things, actually the three main things, really close to each other, 21%, 20%, and 19%. Marketing the home, time frame, price. Marketing the home, time frame, and price. Okay? Those are the three things that should be the core of your presentation in front of the seller. You know, these are questions that I ask. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you know, I really appreciate you having me come out today. I want to ask you a couple of questions. What's the time frame that we have to sell this house? What's the time frame we have to sell this house? Well, we have to be out in 3 months, 6 months. We don't have a time frame. Great. They will have a time frame. Trust me. Trust me, they will have a time frame. You know, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what ways are you expecting an agent like me to market your home? Well, we want it done this, we want this, we want this, and we want this. Great. That's 5 great things. But let me add to that the other 15 things that I do and my team do. Okay. So have your marketing plan of I do this, 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 and I do all these things. Ask them, what ways would you like me to market your home? Well, we really want it online, and we want pictures, and we'd love some drone photography. Great. Those are all great things. Let me tell you the other 15 things I do as well. Okay, it really makes you stand out. Now, if they mention something to you that you don't do, you goddamn better well say yes and figure it out. I've had people say, well, we really want a 3D tour. And this was like 2 years ago when 3D tours were just coming in, like the Matterports were just coming in. Like now it's every house has a 3D tour, but Matterport 2 or 3 years ago was just starting to be used on, and it was only being used on the big luxury listings. They're like, wow, we really want one of those 3D tours. Great, absolutely, we can make that happen. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, God, I don't even know who to call. Just figure it out. All right, it's easy, just figure it out. Most of the time, it's going to boil down to we want visibility on the internet, we want visibility via social media, we want pictures, we want video, and we want 3D tours. Those are simple things, baby. Okay. And then pricing the home competitively. I put this back onto the sellers. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you told me you want to get sold in 3 months. You told me you want to do some outstanding marketing for you. I got to ask you, are you willing to price your house competitively? Well, what do you mean? Well, if we're going to do all this marketing and you want to get it sold in 30 days, we got to be pretty competitive. We can't just stick a really high price tag on that thing. Otherwise, you're going to sit there for 6 months and be the last girl at the dance. And if we price it, pretty competitively, we're going to be we're going to be meat in the water. The piranhas are going to be jumping at that thing. Are you ready to do that? Because you want to be sold in 30 days, right? Yeah, let's go competitive, baby. You with me? So those are the 3 things: marketing, specific time frame, and competitiveness. Okay. Any questions on that? I love it. Although the silence is eerie, I like that there's no questions. Okay, so besides being professional, friendly, and likable, sellers have specific objectives that they want to know can help them achieve. And we've just gone through those. Okay, so being professional, being friendly, and likable. Again, professional, friendly, and likable. People buy you before they buy what you do. Okay, people buy you before they buy what you do. I'm a firm believer of that. Just because they don't say at the beginning that they want your help with other, some of the lower things like finding a buyer or fixing up, doesn't mean that they don't want that. So in your presentations, dig in, ask some questions. I always say to people, listen, I'm going to come in, and I do my listing presentations a little differently, and we'll discuss this, but on my initial phone call, I set the expectation right away. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm going to come in and I'm going to be brutally honest about your home. And there's probably going to be a slight time while I'm there that you're not going to like me very much, because I'm going to tell you that things probably need to be fixed, cleaned, or updated in your home. But that's my job, because you ultimately want someone who is honest with you, doesn't just do what you ask them to do, but actually gives you a little pushback and pushes you a little bit to make the most amount of money, because that's what you want, right? You want to make the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. And they're like, absolutely. Great. So can we agree that there might be a slight moment in my presentation or while I'm there that you're going to hate me for a minute? They're like, sure. Okay. So when I go into that house and I'm like, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this house needs to be decluttered. It needs to be deep cleaned. We have carpets that need to be replaced. And then they start getting a little tense because they're like, Jesus Christ, it's ripping my house. But I'm like, remember in the conversation when I said, there's going to be a moment where you hate me for a minute. This is this minute. Can we get past it? And they're like, sure. Okay. Set the expectation, babe. Be honest with yourself. Would you like somebody coming into your home and saying, this needs to be decluttered, this needs to be cleaned, that needs to be replaced? You'd be like, get the fuck out of here, bro. They want you to come in and go, everything's rainbows and butterflies and it's beautiful and we can sell it for $1 million, and set the expectation. Okay. All right. So everybody good with that? Setting the expectation. Everybody understand what sellers are looking for? Now, if you see, again, real estate and selling is problem solving. All right. It's just problem solving. If you have a home that needs new carpets, address the fact, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, for you to get the price you want, we're going to need to replace those carpets. Is that something you can do before we hit the market? No, it isn't. Okay, I understand that. Is it something that we can advertise that you are willing to do and do after close of escrow? Give money back to the buyer. Well, yeah, we could probably do that. Great. So you work through the problem. There's always a solution. Okay, don't just take things at face value. Become the problem solver. Think logistically. Think outside of the box. Can we do this? Can we do that? We've looked at the numbers. You have enough money that you're going to net after the sale of your home, plus all the commissions have gone out. Could we take $3,000 or $4,000 of that and give it to the buyer for new carpets to get you top dollar? No, sure. Okay, perfect. All right, so think outside the box a little bit. Okay, on to the process to listing. Everybody still with me? Everybody dozed off already? You just got your cameras on, but you're watching Netflix instead. I get it. I've been there. I've done that. All right, the process to listing. So we're going to talk about the pre-listing questionnaire. We're going to schedule a listing appointment, send a pre-listing packet, create a listing presentation, and then obviously do the home walkthrough and the listing appointment. All right, I'm sure you've all got that in your book. All right, so let's ask some questions here. I'm going to take this off the screen. I'm going to ask some questions here. So Nicole, pre-listing questionnaire. Okay, turn your mic on. Pre-listing questionnaire. What's some of the questions you're going to ask prior to pre-listing?
What's your time frame that you'd like to be out of your house?
Great. I wonder where you got that from. That's awesome. Good question. I love that. Well done. Exactly. What's your time frame? Love it. Heather.
Motivation for moving.
Say that again.
What's your motivation for moving?
Love that. Love that. Huge question. Yep. Motivation is huge. Motivation is huge. If it's family, if it's work, if it's shit, I just want to sell because I know I've got 100,000 in equity and I could take that and go to Vegas and blow it all. Like whatever it is, motivation is huge. If you don't get down to the motivation, you will never know their trigger. So that's huge. Motivation is huge. Yep. Great answer. Letha.
You need to know what kind of liens they have on their home.
Mm-hmm.
If they still owe a mortgage.
Yep, great question. Ask the numbers. Do you have a mortgage on the home? Is it free and clear? Do you owe a mortgage? If so, what's the principal? What's the balance? Do you have any liens on the property? Mechanical liens or anything else like that? It's a great thing to know. For you to go step into their home and be the knowledge broker, you got to have the numbers. You got to have the knowledge, right? You can only do so much in the background. You can look on the tax records and see when they bought it, what the mortgage was they took, if they've ever refinanced, all that sort of stuff. But getting them to give you the answers it shows that, you're asking questions, you're interested. Yes, I can pull all this information online if I needed to, but I'm asking you. I need you to tell me, like, you're starting to build that level of trust. Ask the question. So yeah, pre-listings, stuff like that. What's your motivation? What's your timeline? How much, is outstanding on the property? Where are you moving to? Okay, where are you moving to? Like when we sell this house, where are you moving to? Are you staying here in Tucson? Or are you moving out of state? Why do you want to ask that question and not just give it for granted? If they're moving here in Tucson, well, guess what, baby? I can help you buy your next home too. And if they're moving out of state, oh, you're moving to Denver, Colorado? I know an amazing agent in Denver, Colorado. She's a deep friend of mine, great friend, amazing agent. Can I connect you? Sure. Now you just got a referral out of this too. So ask those questions. when,
What do you get usually from a referral? Like,
say that again.
how does that go for referrals? What do you get for referrals?
25% of the gross commission. Yep. So if if Bob and Sue are moving to Denver, Colorado, I would call my agent Kelly up in Colorado and say, hey Kelly, or Bob and Sue, they're moving to Colorado. I'm selling the home here. We're probably going to be sold in the next 60 to 90 days. Then they're moving to Colorado and they want to buy. Can I connect you? Sure thing. 25% sounds great. If they go, to Colorado and buy a $300,000 house, 9,000 GCI, you get 25% of that. She gets the rest, you get it, just for making a connection. Referrals are king. Referrals are huge. That's why I said earlier, they don't need to be selling just in Tucson. If you've got family members all across the states, which some of you may have, tell them to keep their eyes and ears open, because if their neighbor in Buffalo, New York is wanting to sell, it should be a case of, you need to call my sister Letha. Let her call you. She's in Tucson. She's not here in Buffalo, but she's in Tucson. What she can do is save you the time of meeting 5 or 6 agents that are all going to come here and spin you a yarn. She probably has a connection here. Let her do the homework and let her find you your agent. Okay? Letha, you make the phone call. You're in Buffalo. Your house is a 3-2, 1,800 square feet, 2-story with a basement, whatever it is. Great. What's your time frame? When are you moving? Where are you moving to? Awesome. Let me connect you with a great agent of mine. You then go into KW and you find an agent in Buffalo. Go, hey, do you want to sell it? And they're like, yeah. Okay, they have a 3-2. It's 1,800 square feet. It's a 3-story. They want to sell in the next 60 days. Here's their name and number. 25%? Sounds great. Like, there are agents that make 6 figures in this industry and never sell a property. It's all referrals. Like, it's all referrals. I'm telling you, baby, there's agents out there who just keep their eyes and ears open, have an entire database of just agents, not even clients, just agents. And when they hear somebody moving to Buffalo, Tucson, New Mexico, Albuquerque, wherever it is, it's like, ding, know somebody. And they take the time to actually have a conversation with that agent, build that relationship with the other agent. So when somebody says, hey, I'm moving to Buffalo, they're like, I have a great agent for you. Her name's Sandra. She's been in the business 25 years. She's got 2 kids who went to university. One's in the military. She's going to be a great match for you. And they're like, wow, you really do know this agent. When Sandra turns up, guess what? She's got 2 kids. One of them's been in the military. Like, you know that stuff. Okay. There are agents who make a shit ton of money never selling real estate. It's just passing names back and forth. I've met some of them. I'm like, damn, it's a great gig, So
and also, when the agent in Buffalo finds somebody wanting to move to the Tucson area, you're top of mind.
Absolutely. This year, I think I've done 18 or 20 referrals from agents sending me business in Tucson. Yeah. So it pays to take the time and connect with other agents around the nation, around the world. We're with Keller Williams. We're an international business. This isn't like, Tierra Antigua or Long, who are state or city brokerages. With Keller Williams, one of the largest, if not the largest real estate company in the world, along with Remax and Caldwell and stuff like that. We are international. So you may, and this may happen, you may have a client that you meet here, buys with you here in Tucson, who's military and ends up PCSing to Germany, gets his transfer, ends up going to Germany. You stay in touch with me, you say, hey, listen, Dave, when you get to Germany, if you decide to buy a home in Germany for the 3 years, 4 years, 5 years you're going to be over there, call me, because I'll find you an agent in Germany that's like me and will help you. They get their and you follow up with them, right? When they're over there, you follow up with them like, hey, how's things going? Thinking about buying, blah, 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 blah. And when they say, you know what, we're thinking about buying, we're going to buy, we want to live in Dusseldorf or Berlin or Munich or wherever it is, you find a KW agent in that city, do your best German accent and be like, hello, and basically just shout at them, okay, because that's what they do. They don't talk, they shout. So just shout at them that you have a referral, and there you go, 25% referral fee internationally, okay? So always keep your eyes and ears open. I won't go down the German jokes as an Englishman. I'll cut that from this repertoire. Okay, any questions about that? Okay, silence is golden, love it. All right, so before the appointment, okay, let me check the screen here. Talk about what sellers want. Okay, we're going into before the appointment. All right, so before the listing appointment, you do far more listening than you will do talking. Okay, so you'll do far more listening than you will do talking. You can't meet a seller's needs unless you know them. And how do we know them? By listening to them, okay? Show that you're attentive and interested in their needs by giving them plenty of space to tell you the story, all right? So invite them to tell you the story of their needs. So again, asking questions like, why are you moving? What's your motivation? Don't just have it be one question. Dig in and ask multiple questions. So for instance, Letha, why are you selling? What's going on here? Tell me, what's making you sell?
Well, right now the market's pretty hot. Money seems to be a good motivator.
Okay, so the money seems to be a good motivator. I appreciate that. So what are you going to do with the money that we make when we sell your home?
I kind of like to buy a large piece of land, and my husband's a contractor, maybe build our own home.
Awesome, you're going to build. So it sounds like you want to sell this home, cash out with your equity, and then we're going to go off and buy some land, and your husband's going to build his own home.
Exactly.
Great. When are we thinking about doing this? When would you ideally like to be putting the key at that front door in that new build home on that piece of land?
Yeah, it's kind of scary because that's a huge jump. I'm afraid the market won't stay where it's at right now, though. Unfortunately, we don't know what the future holds. We just know the market's hot right now.
Yeah. So it sounds like you want to really strike while the iron's hot, cash in now while we know we can get you that equity, and then start to plan on building that land.
Yes.
So when we sell your house, and if it sells in the next 30 to 60 days, where are you going to live?
Well, actually, I've got a couple of properties that I've been looking at, and we've got an RV that's large enough we can stay in that while we build our home.
Okay, great. So we've got a plan B. So when we sell this home, I don't need to go buy you some Home Depot boxes because you're not going to live in a box. You've got an RV to move into.
Exactly. So
Okay.
it's a matter of selling everything else that we have and rebuilding it.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Or storage.
Okay, great. Okay, guys, pause right there. So you see that? It wasn't just a case of what are you looking to do? Well, we're looking to sell our home because the market's hot. What about the market is hot for you? What are we going to do with that money? You can start to, build those questions instead of just a case of, oh, great, market's hot and you want to sell just like everybody else. Awesome. Dig in, because now I'm pretty sure, Letha, if we continue that conversation, you're going to want me to help you sell your home, help you go find some land. And then, I can also connect you with other people that your husband may need with regards to septic, wells, power, that kind of stuff, right? You start to dig in. Now I've not just got the sale, but I've also got the land. I haven't just stopped at that one question. I kept digging and digging and digging and digging and digging. Excuse me. So that's important, is to let them tell their story. Ask those questions. Excuse me. Just so you all know, if I cough, I'm actually struggling with a double sinus infection. I don't have the vid, but I was literally in bed all day yesterday with my face about to explode. So excuse me while I die. Thank you, Letha, for playing along too. I appreciate that. Okay, so asking questions and listening is going to be huge. It's going to allow you to, again, find their motivation, find the sole purpose to their decision. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And ultimately, you're going to uncover answers to questions that they probably weren't intending on giving you, but they end up giving you. I didn't make this term up. It's made up by a term by an FBI negotiator by the name of Chris Voss. We call it the black swan. You get to the black swan, which is the core underlying motion, movement, or question that is driving the decision for them. Okay, and if you can get to that black swan, then bingo, baby, you got all the answers to all the questions. Okay. So for you in that instance, Letha, the black swan was, we want to live on land with our own house that we design, and we're going to get to that by cashing out in this hot market in the house we're living in right now. Okay. And you are so determined to get to your goal that shit, we'll live in an RV for 8 months if we need to. Like, does that not show some motivation and some drive to get that? You know? Yeah. Exactly. Okay, so we're going to do a lot of listening. Does that make sense? Yeah, good. Okay, so sellers have generally been thinking about selling their home for a little while. They have believe it or not, they already have expectations on timelines, and they have expectations on pricing that they want to meet. All right, sellers don't just wake up one morning and say, well, it's Tuesday, the sun's shining, I got air in my lungs, I got music on the radio, I think we're going to sell my house today. Yeah, doesn't happen. It's generally been a lengthy discussion, like Letha in that role play, where they've been looking at the numbers, they've been watching the market. They may have already started looking at other properties that they want to move to, either upsizing or downsizing, and it comes to a case of, today's the day, honey, I think we're going to sell. We need to start, having these conversations. I can guarantee you they've already figured out the timeline, they've already figured out a price. All right. And I will tell you this, their price is fucking Zillow. All right. So you better be ready to come in with a great Zillow, answer to that BS. All right. So their expectations might be reasonable or they might not be, but they're still in the discovery phase. All right. They're just getting information from what they can see. They're not getting dialed in information from a professional like we are. Okay, so their expectations may be off, and that's okay. And that's why I say to people, listen, you're going to hate me for a minute, but you'll love me afterwards. Okay, and you come in and you give them, I've said to people, buyers too, when buyers come in, I'm like, and you will all have this, I promise you. If none of you ever have this, I call BS right now. You'll have a buyer that comes in and goes, well, we would like a 4-bedroom. We want 3 baths. We want a 3-car garage, single story with a pool in a school district of X, Y, or Z, and we want it for $250,000. Right? And at that point, you go, wouldn't we all? And you have to come along with a really big pin and pop that bubble and say, that's great, and I appreciate that, but this is not 1989. So unfortunately, it's going to cost you a little bit more, or we have to trim something. And here's the thing, people have been spoiled by HGTV up the wazoo, Yeah, my husband collects stamps and I actually draw butterflies and our budget is 400,000. Like, bullshit, get qualified. So, trust me. So you have to pop people's bubbles and bring them down to earth, set the expectation. All right, moving on. Anybody need a cup of tea or coffee yet? We all good? Hang in for a few more minutes. Okay. All right. We'll have a 10-minute break right on the hour. All right. All right. What have we got here? All right. Pre-listing goals. Explain. Once you've pre-qualified the seller and scheduled the listing appointment, you'll want to send them a listing packet. Okay, now you can get these in one KWSA. I know they have listing packets. You can create your own if you wish. You know, us on the team, we have our own listing packet, which we've put together. It's actually not called a listing packet. It's called a marketing proposal, because we're a marketing company that just happens to use technology to sell your home. So we don't very rarely use the word listing. Okay, it's a marketing proposal. This is how we're going to market your home and get it sold in the most amount of time for the most, least amount of time for the most amount of money. What you want to do is, once you've pre-qualified the seller, you want to send out and schedule the listing appointment. You want to send out that pre-listing packet. Okay, it says here there is a pre-listing packet in your Ignite toolkits. So if you know where your Ignite toolkits are, there should be a listing packet in there. Again, if not, I know that I'm pretty sure there is one in one KWSA that you can use. I think it's a PDF or it's a PowerPoint you can download. You can adjust it and put in your numbers and all that sort of stuff. Once you're comfortable, you can even have a conversation with the seller about the topics in the pre-listing packet. Understand the goals of the pre-listing packet and meet them in a way that works best for you. So what I've actually done is, and this is a little different from what most people do. You know, most people do this. They set the appointment, they do the research, they go out to the listing, they match with the research to what they're seeing there and then they say, right, this is the price. Okay, they generally do one listing appointment. I do two. Okay, I do not want to be caught on the back foot and screw things up if their house does not meet my mental expectations. Because I've had it in the past where I've looked at the numbers and I've looked at the data, I've done a CRM and I'm like, wow, this house, it's a 3-2, it's XYZ, the homes around it that sound like it have sold for one, this and this, and I've put all this beautiful packet together, gone to the appointment, and their house does not meet the number that you put in your packet. That's really difficult to try and white out or cover up or scratch out that number in front of the seller across the dinner table. And they're like, oh, wow, 400,000. And in the back of your mind, you're going, you'll be lucky if you get 350. But you've done all this research and it's there and you're like, God, now I look like an ass. So what I do is I set up 2 appointments. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm sending you our pre-listing packet. This is the stuff that we're going to do to market your home. I'm coming out on day 1, first appointment, for 25 to 30 minutes. I'm going to take 25 to 30 minutes to meet with you. You get to understand who I am. I get to understand who you are. I get to see the home. And then I'm going to come out on the day after at the same time, if that works for you. And we're going to have a lengthier 1-hour conversation where we're going to discuss my findings about the price of your home, what the market is doing around your home, the comparables to your home, and we're also going to discuss how I'm going to sell your home. Does that sound great? 2 appointments, 90 minutes in total, broken down to a 30 and a 60-minute appointment. Sound good? And they're like, okay, great. That's it. Now, what does that allow me to do? First 30-minute appointment, it is all me and the sellers. It's rapport building. It's getting to know them. I walk around the house. I'm looking at stuff. I'm taking notes. But this is all about me and them at this point. There is no contract terms talked about. There is no price talked about. There is no negotiations or marketing talked about. It's all, hey, so what do you do for a living? This is great. How long have you lived here? Wow, you got a kid? How long have you been married? All this sort of BS. They get to know me. I get to know them, right? Appointment 2, they've already met me. Hopefully, they already like me. I already know them. So there's that kind of warmth. It's that second appointment. We've already met each other. We met each other yesterday. We got the introductions and the first kiss out of the way. Now, now we're good. Then when you come in the next day and you bring your packet with you, there's a lot more warmth. Oh, hey, Matt, coming in. Do you want a cup of tea, coffee? You play with the dog, whatever. It's okay. Okay, Bob and Sue, let's sit down. Let's get to business. All right. This is what I found. And, straight into business mode. You've warmed them up. It's not like hey, how are you? I'd love to meet you. Let me find out about you. You find out about me. Oh, this is wonderful. Boom, it's business in the same day. It's a lot, man. It's a lot of emotions, a lot of different feelings. I like the two appointment approach. Okay. Does anybody see benefit in that, or does anybody think that's, yeah? Everybody see a little bit of benefit in that?
That's brilliant.
Who said that?
Jennifer. It's brilliant. I love it.
Okay.
It's great.
I don't have a picture of you, Jennifer. I just have a black thing with a name. I'm like, oh.
Sorry.
That's okay. So yeah, two appointments work. It really does. I've done it now. I switched this probably about a year ago, and it really works for me. Some agents will tell you, well, you're going out there twice, just go out there once and get the listing. Okay, that's fine. But again, I'd rather be prepared, because again, if what you think their home is worth doesn't actually meet that, you look a bit of an ass when you're in front of that table and you're like, oh no, don't look at that number. That's what I thought your house was worth, but actually your house is a shit show, so I'm going to take 20 off of that. It's not, yeah, trust me, you'll be finding the curb real quick. Whereas if I go through on day one, I could be like, okay, this is not what the numbers were telling me that I saw. That's great. I can readjust. Or even better, you walk in and you go, holy shit, this is way better than the ones that sold online. Okay, yeah, they've got this and they've got this. Okay, they're actually more than what the numbers are telling me. That's a great place to be too, because you don't undersell them. So 2 appointments.
And that second appointment, then you're leaving with the signature of the listing agreement, marketing proposal.
Yep. Appointment 2, I take everything. Appointment 2, I take. Well, here's what I will say. In appointment 1, I actually find out their comfort zone with regards to digital signing versus paper signing. Okay. If they're willing to do everything digitally, great. Then what I actually do is on the second appointment, I just take a blank listing agreement with me and I just go over it with them, but don't have them sign anything. And I'm like, listen, let me explain what you are going to get digitally this afternoon that you're going to need to sign. Okay, great. Because there's nothing worse than just sending out a contract to somebody digitally and then asking them to sign it and they're reading it and trying to understand it. Like, talk them through it. So I actually have a sample packet of a complete listing packet, which includes listing agreement, SPUDs, agency agreements, all of the document, HOA addendum. I have a blank sample of all that, which I take them with me. And when they agree to sign with me, I'm like, great, let's go through what I'm going to have you digitally sign later today. If they want a wet sign, guess what? I have copies in my truck. I have a file in my truck of every document for either a listing or a seller, a lister or a buyer. Because there's nothing worse than being on the back foot. Somebody walks into an open house, your open house, and they're like, oh my God, I love it. Yep, we want to buy it. Where do we sign? And you're like, can we meet a little later? No, I'm like, wait 1 second. Go out to my truck, come back in. I'm like, right, you're going to need a purchase contract. You're going to need an HOA addendum. You're going to need this. I'm like, let's just do it right here. And they're like, okay. Always be prepared. I'm ex-military. I'm always prepared.
Has that happened to you?
Yes, ma'am. Once.
Nice.
Yeah, it has happened once. And I asked the guy, I was like, well, financing, or like, are we financing this? He's like, cash deal. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to need proof of funds. And he was like, okay, there you go. There's my proof of funds. I'm like, can you screenshot that and send that to me? He's like, sure. What's your number? Like, literally, this is how it went down. I'm sat at an open house and this guy's literally writing me a cash offer. Like, he's like, okay, sure, let's get it done. I'm okay. Yeah, it was insane. Like, it was like, I was like, this is how all open houses should be. Well, guess what? I was severely disappointed when like that's only happened once in 3 years. I'm like, God damn it, why doesn't it happen a lot? So there we go. I do 2-step appointments. Okay, you do you. All right. I feel it's better that way. I like to build rapport. I like people to like me first. Again, they buy me before they buy what I do. Does that make sense? Okay. So in the pre-listing packet that you're going to send out, you want to make sure it states your value. Okay. Why choose you? I personally believe in your pre-listing packet, it doesn't hurt to have a little humanity in it and have them say a little bit about you. All right. They don't want to read your real estate bio. Well, I moved to Tucson in 2011 and got into real estate in 2017. And I've sold, 120. That bullshit. That's what everybody puts in there. Make it a little bit about you. You know what? I'm British. I moved to Arizona in 2011. I was 10 years in the Royal Air Force, 5 tours, 2 tours to Iraq, 3 to Afghanistan. Came here in 2011. I'm married to my wife 7 years. I have 2 beautiful daughters. I'm an ex-rugby player. I played at such and such a level. I'm a massive tea connoisseur. I could drink enough tea to drain the harbor in Boston. Thank you. And, I make it fun. I make it about me. I don't mention barely anything about real estate. And honestly, in my appointment, I think I've only had 1 listing appointment where somebody's actually asked me, how long have you been selling real estate? They just don't care. They're just like, I don't care if you've been selling real estate 1 day, 1 minute, or 100 years. You're my guy. Get it done. They generally mesh with you. So that's huge. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Not a lot of questions. I feel like I'm either doing a really good job or a really shitty job, and you just don't want to say.
You're doing a really good job.
Yes. All right. I'll send you $5 in the mail, Ether. Okay. All right. Okay. So yeah. Okay. I'll send everybody $5. Just stay with me. All right. It is just turned 10:03 on my watch. Let's take 5 minutes. Anybody can go to the toilet, get a cup of tea, get a cup of coffee, get a snack, whatever you need to do. And then we'll come right back in and we'll talk about the listing presentation. Sound good? 5 minutes.
Sounds good.
Keep your cameras and keep your computers on, and I'll holler when your 5 minutes are up.
Hey, Matt,
Yes, ma'am.
what part of England are you from?
I was originally born and raised in Birmingham, second biggest
okay.
city, second biggest city right in the middle. Yeah,
My
and
husband
then your husband was up, sorry?
my husband's in the Air Force, and we spent 4 years stationed at Lakenheath in Suffolk.
Okay, so in 2000, my parents decided to up sticks and move me from Birmingham to Norfolk. So we ended up living just outside of King's Lynn in Norfolk.
Yeah, we were in Hockwald, right there on the border.
Yeah, and then I actually served 10 years at RAF Marham. So I used to go to Lakenheath all the time. Yeah, we used to have some of the American pilots and ground crew come up to Marham, and they would bring their aircraft, and they would do, 2 or 3 nights or a weekend stop over at Marham and use it as kind of as a fake operating base kind of thing. But we used to go out and drink with those boys all the time, and then we'd do the same down at Lakenheath. So
I'm sure.
yeah. So
The one thing about pilots and maintainers, they drink a lot.
that is not a true statement, Heather. That is not a true statement at all.
No, you're right.
No, we do not drink at all. I'm kidding. All right, 5 minutes is up, everybody. We got everybody back. I got Nicole. We got Letha. She's got a brew on the go. That's great. I saw her. We got Heather. We got Jacob. Jacob, thanks for tuning in. Good to see you. Appreciate that, my friend. Hoping you're getting some good notes here. We lost a couple of others, but maybe they'll come back. We'll see. Okay, so yeah, Jacob's got a brew going too. Love it. All right, so pre-listing packet. All right, the pre-listing packet, I just want to touch back on this again. It's setting the expectation, okay? The pre-listing packet doesn't necessarily have to be your listing presentation. Your listing packet can be things we're going to talk about, things we're going to address. It can be stuff like that, setting the expectation of the meeting they're going to have. You don't want to give them your complete listing presentation. Otherwise, when you get there, they're going to be like, yeah, I've already read through it. You don't need to talk. I'm done. You got to leave something, in the tank. Okay. Okay. So moving on to the listing presentation. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. So all right, the listing packet, the listing presentation. So you can create the listing presentation is basically here to build confidence in the seller as to why they choose you. Does that make sense? All right. So in your listing presentation or your marketing proposal, it's going to show ways of about how you stand out from other agents, what you do that is different. Okay. It's also going to have in there the CRM. It's going to have the comparables of the homes, because if you do my way, you've already gone there for 30 minutes yesterday, and now you're here for 60 minutes. You've dialed in those numbers, right? You've got those CRMs really good. You've got those comparables down. Is what are you going to do? The CRM, the numbers, you've got all that dialed in. The properties that are like theirs that have sold around them in the last 3 to 6 months, okay? That's all going to be in the listing presentation. It does not hurt to do a paper listing presentation, all right? A lot of people will go in with a laptop and will go in with a tablet, and it's on the tablet and it looks Gucci and it looks pro and whoosh, I'm this great big tech agent, okay? Are you going to leave your laptop with them when you leave so they can review it once you're gone? No. I have found by doing this both ways that paper, putting something together that looks really good, like, you can leave with them, all right? And they can, if they don't want to sign right there and then, which we'll talk about, but even once they've signed, it's something they can go back over and look at later when they think to themselves, did we make the right decision? Not that they should, but they might, So I don't actually have one to hand. Otherwise, I would show you what it is. But my transaction coordinator has them all. She prints them all up for me. But basically, it's a packet and we comb it down the side. And I make one for me. You know what I can show you is, so because I'm trying to be resourceful, I actually have a binder, which on one side, I have my marketing proposal, and on the other side, I have my buyer presentation. So what I do is I print off a marketing proposal for the seller. I insert into here in these plastic sleeves, my comps and the property details. But basically I have a copy of my entire presentation and I just insert what I need to for that appointment. And if I'm into a buyer appointment, I have my complete buyer presentation on the other side of my book. This is my master book. Okay. I know, pretty ingenious, right? I thought of it all by myself. My mom would be so proud. So marketing proposal talks about the team. Okay, I'll try and talks about the team, who we are, all the team members, has a listing timeline. This is the timeline of the process of from interviewing agents to picking an agent, the listing going live, all the way through to close of escrow. So we have a listing timeline. Our pledge and why you need a realtor. Okay, and we go through this and talk about this. The marketing timelines, we have an entire timeline from day one right through to day 21 of how we're going to market your property and get it on the market and all the stuff we're going to do. So they're prepared of, you know, on day 3 or 4, you're going to have photographers and videographers and drone photographers, you know, all that sort of stuff's happening. They got it all here on the timeline. Pictures of marketing samples, open house flyers, some of the pictures we've taken, you know, understanding the differences between agencies, and then we leave a page at the back for their notes. So they get a copy of that, but inserted into there is the CMA, their tax record, their comparables. What I do, I said do, what I do is on my tablet, I have pulled up the 4 comparables in MLS. Because what I like to do is when I'm sitting down and saying, okay, comparable A is 3 to 12, you know, 15, 16, 1700 square feet, same as yours, is a quarter of a mile down the road and it's sold for X. I then pull it up on my tablet. I'm like, look at their pictures. You see how they've decluttered their home. You see how they've, you know, they've moved X, they've moved this and moved that. Or do you see how their house doesn't have the granite countertops, doesn't have the wood floors, the tile? You know, I show them the difference. Giving them an MLS data sheet just shows you a picture of the front of the house and the data. And then it's up to them, if they really want to find out what the house was like, to go on MLS. Take that out of there. I just have the pictures right there and then. Here's comp number 2. Let's look at their pictures. You see how badly that looks? Like terrible lighting. We're not going to be number 2. Okay. So that has helped me in the past. I don't always use it, but if there's that little bit of pushback, I'm like, let's go to the big screen and, you know, pull up the tablet, pull up the pictures. All right. So
Matt, I gotta go. I wrote you a chat. I'll have to watch the rest of it in the recording.
That is bad planning, young lady.
I know my dog has something wrong with its tail. I got to take her to the vet.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on for the hour and 15 that you did. Yeah, please check out the rest of it because the best is just to come.
I know. I'm so sorry, but I'll watch it. Thank you for your time, and I'll get your phone number in the chat or in the recording.
Absolutely. Yep, you will do.
Okay, thank you.
Take care. Thanks, Nicole. Bye-bye now. So my listing presentation is very hands-on. You know, I invite them to go through the book with me. You know, we talk about things, we look at different things. And again, it's not me just talking at them. I engage them to follow the book with me, ask questions. And I'm always asking a question that gets them to acknowledge their understanding, or invite them to ask other questions. You know, like, doesn't this make sense? Like, this is the timeline of when we're going to do things on this, and this, and this. Doesn't that make sense? Oh yeah, that makes sense. Great. You know, then we're going to do this, and this, and this. Doesn't that make sense? No, that makes sense. Great. Like, I'm getting them to affirm all the way through the presentation that this makes sense, you know? So there's really nothing at the end when they go, well, none of that made sense to us. but you said it made sense. So I'm always trying to get that, they understand, they're with me, we're tracking together. Because when you go into a listing presentation, the realtor is here and the seller's over here, and you got to bring them together, right? So that's what that's doing. Okay, bring them with you. Okay, any questions? Any questions about a listing presentation or the listing appointment?
Is there any way you could like email a copy of your timeline sheet?
Yeah,
Just for reference?
I'll send you the entire marketing proposal. How about that?
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, does that work for everybody? Is that okay with everybody if I share our marketing
Yes.
proposal with you?
Absolutely. Yes, please.
Okay, wonderful. So in here, it talks about doing the home, walkthrough. I think we've already touched on that really. I don't do my home walkthrough prior to or on the day of my presentation. I do it the day before. Okay. And again, I'm pretty honest. The last thing I want to do is sell the seller an illusion that their home is ideal when it's not. And I've had some pretty tough conversations, but you got to stand your ground. At the end of the day, you are a professional, you are licensed, you are in this industry for a long time to create a legacy. We're not here to fluff skirts and, kisses on foreheads. It's not what we're here to do. And honestly, I'll be absolutely honest with you. I've walked away from deals. I've walked away from listings where the seller is just not on the same page as I. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. Doesn't mean they're wrong. We're just not on the same page. And if we can't get on the same page, then I won't work with them. If they're unrealistic in their expectations, that's always tough. I originally, probably a couple of years ago, the seller didn't like the number I gave them on a property, so I didn't take the listing, and they went with another agent that took the price that they were, the seller wanted. We were $20,000 or $30,000 apart in the listing price, and they ultimately went with another agent who walked in and went, well, how much do you want to sell your house for? They gave, the seller told them how much, and the agent went, great, let's do it. I've shifted my mentality slightly since then, and my mantra is you can't get a price reduction on a listing you don't have. So if we are worlds apart, I try and close that world as best as I can. If I'm still 10 or 15,000 off of what I think the home's worth, between what they're saying their number's worth, take the listing. Again, you can't get a price reduction on a listing you don't have. So, and again, I set that expectation pretty well too. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm saying your home is worth 250,000. You're, the number in your mind, which you are firm at, is 280,000. Here's what we'll do. Let's put it on the market for 280,000. Okay. But what I want to explain to you, and my perception is what's going to happen is we're probably going to sit on the market for about 30 to 45 days. We'll probably get a lot of showings, but we won't get any offers. And the reason is because if I can see that the home is overpriced, other agents can see that the home is overpriced. And they're not going to bring a buyer in and have a buyer write you an at value offer knowing it's going to get rejected. So I think we're going to get a lot of traction. We're going to get a lot of boots to the door, but we're not going to get a lot of love. So if you're okay with that, I'm okay with that. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to market the home as if it was priced competitively. It doesn't mean I'm not going to do an open house or show the home as if it was marketed priced competitively. I'm going to do everything I would do, as per normal. But I just need to set the expectation so you understand in 30 days time when we don't have any offers as to why. Okay. And they're like, yeah, okay. And I honestly said to them too, in 30 days time, if we've had multiple showings and we haven't received any offers, would you be against us sitting down and having another conversation around the price? What do you think their response is? They're like, sure, not at all, and it happens. 30 days down the road, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we've had 27 showings by 27 different agents and 27 different sets of buyers, and we've had no offers. Are we ready to talk about that price? And they're like, yeah, that's a lot of displacement for them. They've seen the marketing. You know, we send them the marketing reports. We send them the social media posts. We send them the analytics from the social media showing the engagement. They've had 27 showings. It's not like the marketing's not working. There's something awry here, you know? And at that point, you know, then I start to lean into the pain a little bit. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, 27 showings, each one of them about 30 to 45 minutes. Let's do the math of how many hours you both have been displaced in selling this home, and we haven't sold it yet. How many more hours do you want to be displaced? How many more sets of shoes do you want through this property? Well, you know, we're kind of getting really tired of having to leave the house, you know, multiple times a week for an hour at a time. Yeah, I understand. So we're ready to sell this thing? Okay, let's talk about that price. You know, you got to be firm with a professional. At the end of the day, they're paying us a lot of money to sell their home. So having the difficult conversation is part of that, you know. And if it is an overpriced listing, setting that expectation up front in the listing presentation is part of that, you know. A doctor, if you were to hire a doctor, wouldn't, and there was something chronically wrong with you, they wouldn't fluff you. Yeah, you just need to go away and get some sunshine, and yeah, you'll be fine. There's nothing to worry about. You know, but I have a really big like lump or growth or mold or whatever it is. You're fine. You're fine. They're gonna come at you and be like, you know what? You have an issue. We need to get it taken care of. And you just, all right, you're the professional. Let's get it done. You know, so that's part of the listing presentation. It will be a tough conversation. You will have sellers that tell you, well, yeah, we'll think about it, we'll reach out to you. Okay, they're not ready to pull the trigger then, and ultimately I probably might go with another agent, and it sucks. And then you get the reflection of, well, what did I do wrong? Well, most likely if you've got your appointment down, nothing. It's just that they weren't on the same page with you, or you didn't dig enough to find the motivation. Okay. I generally find doing the two-step process, them seeing you twice in 2 days, get you the listing. They've seen you twice. They fell in love with you the first time. They appreciate you the second time. That really works. Instead of that 1 90-minute, just balls to the wall, everything coming at you in one appointment, and then you're trying to get them to sign a piece of paper. It's a lot, you know. Doing the two-step, they already know you're their guy at the end of the 30 to 45-minute first appointment, and on day 2, they're just here to look at the numbers.
I have a listing over in Dudleyville, and the lady, I tried to explain to her, you know, she had a lot of repairs that needed to be done. She's like, I can't do the repairs, but she wanted top dollar for her house. And it's like, well, you can't, nobody can get a loan on it. You're in a situation here to where you're looking for an investor to buy the house, fix it up, and then put it back on the market for somebody that can get a loan in it. She's like, well, this is my retirement, yada, yada. Refused to come down on the price whatsoever. Kept it listed with me for a year. And at the end of that year, I told her, I'm sorry, I'm just not interested in trying this anymore. I mean, because I had brought her a lot of owner will carries. I mean, one of them wanted to put $30,000 down. She turned them all down. There was no negotiation or whatsoever. So I dropped her as a client, and she went with another agent, actually brought the price down $10,000, and it is still set on the market for 8 months.
Yeah, her motivation isn't to sell. Her motivation's not there, and that's okay. That's absolutely okay. And you know what I'd say to people like that? Congratulations, you are still the highest bidder on your own home. Well done. It's as simple as that.
Right.
Okay. You know, if people aren't motivated, if people won't do what it takes, if people don't want to listen, live in a world of abundance. Okay. I understand as a new agent, you know, again, I was there 3 years ago. Geez, that tail was wagging that dog like nobody's business. You know, I was working with, you know, every single buyer I could get my hands on, qualified or non-qualified. I was showing properties like nobody's business. You know, I was talking to sellers who were overpriced. I was like, sure, I'll do it. I'll take it. Like that tail was definitely wagging that dog. And I realized pretty quickly I was getting burnt out, and I was working with people that didn't appreciate me or weren't truly in to get this done, you know? So I just came up with this mindset and mentality of live and work in a world of abundance. If somebody is so overpriced or will not meet you where you need to be met, let them go. Let somebody else pick them up, you know? You're not gonna, here's the thing, with somebody like that you're gonna put essentially tens, if not hundreds of hours into, and we know it's not gonna sell. Imagine how much more business you could do if you got rid of them and then put tens and hundreds of hours into picking up the phone, making phone calls, prospecting. How many more deals could you get in the same amount of hours that you've wasted on Mrs. Miggins, who is just a stubborn old crow? You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I generally work and live that mentality, live and work in a world of abundance. I've turned deals down, not because I'm above the deal, but I'm just like, man, that's a lot of man hours. And I know I could be doing something, way better. And it realistically just comes down to sellers who are just unrealistic. I worked with a seller who was like 30,000 over, and I never took the listing, but I did a listing appointment and we didn't agree. And then I called him back. He ended up going for sale by owner. He is still a for sale by owner. 2.5 years later, he is still at the original price that we discussed like 2 years ago. And even with the growth in the market, he is still not at the price that he's listed at from 2.5 years ago. I'm like, we are going through the greatest real estate economic boom in the world, and you're still overpriced, my friend. Like, come on, But I just check in with him every now and then and see how he's doing. And he just laughs and says, hey, one day I'll get my price. All right, good for you. Hope you do, whenever it is. So don't be afraid to say no. That's huge. Okay. Don't be afraid to say no. Don't go down the rabbit hole. Just say no. If sellers don't respect you, respect your business, respect your expectations, just say no. I made it pretty clear, I think after my first year of having that tail wag the dog, I set expectations that I won't answer my phone before 8 a.m. and I won't answer after 8 p.m. unless, the listing that I'm selling is burning down. It waits till the following day, right? That's my cutoff. 12-hour day is okay for me. It doesn't mean I stop working. There's been times where 10 or 11 p.m. I'm still writing contracts or listing agreements, whatever it is, but I stop answering my phone after 8 p.m. Just goes to voicemail. I said this to a buyer once, and I said, this is my expectations, this is my schedule, and he kind of just laughed, and he was like, you don't realize you work for us, right? If we want to send you a property at 10 o'clock, we're going to send you a property. And I was like, you know what, I appreciate where you're coming from, however, those are my times. And if that's your mentality, I think you probably need to find a better agent. And that was it. He's like, what do you mean? I said, no, I'm not your guy. My times are 8 till 8. If you want to call me and send me properties at 10 o'clock at night, asking me to look into them, it's going to wait until 8 o'clock the next morning. If that's not a good enough response for you, then I think you need to find an agent who's desperate enough to answer your calls at 10 p.m. and just let him go. $500,000 buyer, let him go. I'm not playing that game, because you do it with one, you'll do it with all of them. And just let them go. If they can't respect the boundaries that you put out, then they're not going to respect you when it comes to negotiating, your input, your thoughts. They're always going to tell you, hammer you. So just let them go. And I've never had a problem since. I tell people my timelines and they're like, oh no, that's great. Yeah, that's fine. We respect that. So I live in a lot of abundance. So the next thing, so everybody, I haven't really given you a listing presentation, and it's not my job to give you a listing presentation, because I think it's for you to build your own listing presentation. I will share our marketing proposal. But any questions about the listing presentation? Anybody? Jennifer? No? Good to see you. Thanks for turning your camera on. Okay, so one thing I want to talk about is objections. All right, we're going to get these a lot. Okay, seller objections. So shout out a couple of objections that you've had from a seller if you've had them, and if you haven't, then hopefully a couple of others will be able to give us an objection. Jennifer, continue. You've just joined us on camera. What objections have you had from a seller?
I am brand new, just starting out, so none yet.
How brand new is brand new?
Last month.
Okay, pretty brand new. Love that. Okay, Letha, what objections have you had?
I've had a couple come to their home and let me know that they were elderly and their health was failing. They were wanting to price out their home, but they weren't quite ready to list yet. Like they were waiting for them to go into a nursing home or something, but that was, had a hard time getting around it. I sit there and I evaluated their home. I priced it for them, and they seemed to really like the price point that they were at. And that was over a year ago. And somehow I wasn't able to get the listing, and I did follow up.
Did they list with somebody else?
No, they're still sitting on it.
Okay. Are you still following up?
No.
There we go. So that's what it goes back to. You got to stay on top of them. Okay.
Right.
So Letha, here is my challenge for you today. You know what's coming, right?
Follow up with them.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. Here's what I want you to do today. I either want you to pick up the phone or go knock on their door, whatever you feel most comfortable with, and say to them, hey, it's Letha. The last time we spoke was X months ago, X years ago, whatever it is. When last time we spoke, I told you your home was worth X. Did you know today your home is worth Y? Did you know that? Because in the last 12 months, we have seen a growth of, in the last 12 months, year over year, we've seen a 25% increase in real estate value in Tucson. So your property has gone up X. Did you know that? And they're most likely going to say no. Okay, so now knowing what your price is today, are you still thinking about selling? How can we capitalize on that 25% growth you've gained in your property in the last 12 months? How can we put that in your pocket today instead of somebody else's pocket tomorrow?
Right.
Today's the day to make that phone call. All right, it's top of mind. Make that phone call today. Okay. Okay. So that's an irregular objection because that was timed around health and transitions and stuff like that. Most likely objections you're going to hear with a seller is we need to think about it. Okay. That's always a big one. People don't like to make big decisions, like that. We need to think about it. Let's get to the bottom of it. What is an objection? Okay. What do you think an objection is, Heather? In the fundamental terms, what really is an objection?
A delay.
There we go in there. Jennifer, what is an objection in the fundamental terms?
I would think usually something that they're worried about, something like an excuse, or, well, I want to do that, but what about this? Or I don't think, it's usually just a question that they have that they're concerned about.
Bingo, baby. Bingo. All righty. Ding, ding, ding. 5 points for Jennifer. Woo. So an objection is fundamentally an unanswered question. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's an unanswered question. Okay? So it doesn't matter whether it's real estate, it doesn't matter anything else. If anybody gives you an objection, it's because it's an unanswered question. They don't have enough data to make an informed decision. Okay? So whenever you get an objection, and I've got a lot of them in the past, whether you're cold calling, in a listing appointment, a buyer appointment, whatever it is, if you get an objection, Don't shrivel up and be like, they said no. Go think to yourself, yeah, baby, let's get to the bottom of this. All right. What don't you have enough data on right now for you to say yes? Because that's all it is. They don't have enough data. So when somebody says to me, we need to think about it, I'm like, you know what, Jennifer, I appreciate that. What is it you need to think about? Do you need to think about the 21 steps of marketing that I'm going to do to sell your home? Do you need to think about how we're going to price your home aggressively at $350,000 and get you to Denver in the next 60 days? Or do you need to think about how we're going to expose your property to the most amount of people in the shortest amount of time to get your home sold? What is it you need to think about? It's going to be one of those three. It's going to be one of those, and they're going to go, well, you know, it's the price thing. You know, that's what we need to think about. Great. What about the price at 350 that you need to think about? Well, you know, we were really hoping for 355. Okay. What is it that 355 can get you that 350 can't? Well, you know, we need a little extra cash because the house we want to. There is always an unanswered question. You just keep digging. You are an archaeological dig. You keep digging until you get to the goddamn T-Rex, right? Keep digging. So you keep digging and keep digging. So what is it about the 355 that you need versus 350? Well, it's going to get us X. Great. What's important about getting X to you? Well, because of what? You keep digging until the point you go, you know what? Let's put it on for 355 if that's the objection. If that's what's worrying you, is that in that extra cushion of $5,000, let's change this 0 to a 5. Let's initial it, press here, sign hard, lots of copies. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like, there's whatever the objection is, what about that is important to you? What about that is important to you? Keep digging until you've hit bedrock, until the point where they go, well, yeah, realistically, that was it. Great. Let me answer those for you. Let's retract the statements and let me answer all these unanswered questions that you have. And when you answer them all and you give them all the data and you go, okay, so are you ready to press hard? Lots of copies, sign the paperwork. They've got nothing else. They can't turn around to you and say, well, we still need to think about it. Okay, well, what else was it you need to think about? We just got rid of the price. So did you need to think about our 21-step marketing? Or do you need to think about how we're going to put your home on the market in the next 20 days and sell it within the next 60? What is it you need to think about? Just keep going.
What if they say, I decide that I don't want to make any big decisions without sleeping on it first. I like to take big decision like this and just sleep on it and wake up with a clear mind.
You know, I appreciate it, Jennifer, and I understand that you need to take time to digest it. I really do. It is a very big decision. So play along with me. You're going to go to sleep this evening. You're going to lay your head down and you're going to think about the 21-point marketing plan that we're going to use. You're going to think about getting your home on the market in the greatest real estate market that we're in of our time and put it on the market in the next 10 days and getting you under contract. And we're also going to think about netting and dream about that $350,000 that we're going to sell your home for, which will net you, you know, $300,000 or $310,000, and then we're going to think about you're going to dream about getting you to Denver. That's what we're going to be doing this evening. So play along with me. It's tomorrow morning. You wake up, you pull back the curtains, you take a shower, you get that first cup of coffee. Where's your mind going to be?
Probably, should I do this? It's in my best interest, in my family's best interest to pull the trigger and just do it.
Okay. Now you told me you want to be in Denver in 60 days, and you've obviously put a lot of time, you and the family have put a lot of time into thinking about that. Have you done the research about where in Denver that you're going to live and where in Denver, you know, the schools in Denver that your children are going to move to?
I think that would probably be another big concern of mine is we don't have a house to move to. Can we do this in 60 days? Should we do it?
Okay. So it sounds like realistically there's a piece of this puzzle that hasn't been found yet. You know, we've got 99 pieces or 98 pieces, me being the 99th piece, but the 100th piece is what's happening in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like I need to connect you with somebody in Denver who can get you the information about what's happening in the Denver metro marketplace to give you that information.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So understand this. Signing today doesn't mean it has to go on the market tomorrow. Signing this today basically means you're putting me to work and that there is some motivation there to sell. It also means that I can start manifesting and bringing you more live data and throwing the chum in the water so that when you and your husband and your family do decide to move to Denver, I've got people chomping at the bit for your house. Does that make sense? Versus putting you on the market and just wondering if a fish is going to nibble. Does that make sense? And with regards to Denver, I've got a great agent in Denver that is going to take good care of you, give you data about the metro area, maybe even do some virtual showings of your home while we're preparing yours for sale. And I'll be honest with you, in the next 2 to 3 weeks, if there isn't something in Denver that you like the look of and you retract from moving to Denver, I will come to you personally, we'll sign this and we'll rip this up and we'll leave you here in Tucson. Does that sound good?
I like that. It's very comforting.
Okay. So why don't we press hard, lots of copies. Let's get you connected on the way to Denver. All right. Wow, man, you put me on the spot. I was like, shit. I love it. I love it. I have played, and so I want you to know that the whole play along with me, we're going to go to bed tonight and dream of this. It's tomorrow morning, you wake up, you pull back the curtains, and this is what you're going to think when you wake up. What's stopping you from signing? That is a whole Tom Ferry objection that I heard years ago that I was like, that is good. And I listened to that objection over and over and over and over and over again. So I appreciate that one because it's one that I've used before. And people are like, well, you know, you're right. We are going to go to bed and we are going to think about it. And it's exactly what you said. Tomorrow morning, we're going to have the same decision that we're at right now. I guess we're just stalling. Okay, I get it. I understand. I stall in front of big decisions. You know, I want to just take a step back and take a breath and then step forward and lean into that decision. So I completely get it, you know. And the whole, at the end of the day, if this doesn't work out, we rip this up. If things change, we rip it up. We're totally fine with that. So thank you. Good objection. Yeah, people are going to say we want to sleep on it. We want to think about it. If it's a buyer that says we want to sleep on it, I have the one line that just goes to, well, sleep on it tonight. You won't sleep in it tomorrow. Simple as that.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I'm writing that down.
Yeah, sleep on it tonight. You won't sleep in it tomorrow. So, so other objections is you're going to get the objections. We need to think about it. We need to sleep on it. I've had some where when I stepped into the presentation, I thought all parties that would be prevalent to the sale of the home were going to be there, as in the husband and the wife. And then the wife or the husband weren't there. So now I'm just presenting to one of the two decision makers. And I knew right from the get-go, I was like, they're not signing paperwork tonight because no way would my wife allow me to put a signature on a contract that says we can sell the home. Like, just ain't gonna happen. Plus you need both of them there. So right off the get-go, I knew full well I wasn't getting paperwork signed that night. So I did my presentation to the spouse. We talked about things. He had a load of great questions. And then I basically set up a Zoom call with the other partner and did a presentation with the other partner, a very shortened version, and said, listen, you know, I came to the home, I saw the home. I'm sure, you know, John's told you everything about how I'm going to market the home. I just want to know, have you got any questions? And she actually had. She got a load of questions, which was great. And at the end of all the questions, I said, okay, so John felt pretty comfortable with me. Do you? She's like, yeah, absolutely. I said, great. Can I come by tonight at 6:30 then and bring the paperwork and get it going? She's like, yeah, sure, that works. I just had to switch it up a little bit and, you know, introduce myself to both parties. So you've got to be a little flexible. All right. You got to be able to bend a little bit, especially in this world. I've done listing presentations via Zoom. I literally have done a listing presentation via Zoom where the other person has walked me through the house on their phone. Like I'm on my phone and they're like, here's the kitchen, here's the sink, here's the countertops, blah, 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 like gone through that with me. And then we've sat down and finished the conversation like this. I've talked about it, pulled up the slide, pulled up the presentation. They've already had everything mailed to them, so they got it in front of them. Took the listing. So you got to be, got to be a little flexible. So, but remember, the key thing, objections are just unanswered questions. Just keep digging. All right, go for gold. Keep digging. Any questions about that? Silence. I love it. Okay, so we have just a few minutes, in fact, 13 minutes to be precise, before the end of today's class. What are some of the takeaways for today? What are some of the takeaways?
I absolutely will be implementing the 2-appointment model. I love that. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I know building rapport is so important. And I know Dan was telling me yesterday, he was like, well, I don't bring a contract to the actual appointment. And it makes sense now because you're not trying to shove paperwork and everything down someone's throat. You're literally just trying to find out what the needs are. I like the 2-appointment model.
Yeah, I want them to buy into me, realistically. I want them to buy into me. I want them to buy into who I am. I want them to buy into my core values. I want them to buy into my integrity with myself and obviously with them. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be in charge of the biggest financial decision of their lives, So I want them to feel comfortable that I could hold their hand and go through it. You can't do that when you've got a contract on the table in front of you. It's really hard. It's a big distraction, real big distraction. So and again, this isn't this isn't something I made up. This was another coaching friend of mine who implemented this, and she just rocked it. And she completely switched her entire listing she fell upon it by chance, where she did a 2-appointment. And it was a 2-appointment because of what I discussed earlier. She went there and the numbers were way off. In a positive way, she was actually undercutting the price of what the home was really worth. So she shoved the listing presentation back in her purse again and just did a whole, let's just sit down and talk. Let's just find out about you and how long you've been married, how many kids you got, and all this sort of shit. And they found out about her, and she was like, okay, so the way I do this is, now you've met me and I've seen the home, I'm going to come back tomorrow and tell you what it's worth. And they were like, okay. And she went away, re-got the numbers, came back in, and they were like, you know what, so good to see, we really enjoyed spending time with you yesterday. And where do we sign? What's the price? And she was like, holy shit, I didn't even need to present. Like, they'd already bought into me. So then she was like, I wonder if. So she did it again, same way, same thing. And she's like, boom, done, just done. Change the game.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it does. But be you. Don't try and be anything you're not. Like, you've seen me on this call, I've sworn. I swear I tell bad jokes, I dress like a British redneck. Just be you. Like, don't try and be anything else. Like, I literally made a tit of myself a couple of months ago, where I had a buyer call me up and they wanted to go see a luxury property, and I'm like, holy shit, this is this is a lot of money. So the cowboy boots stayed in the closet, the dress pants and the shoes went on, and the button down went on, and I went there and they turned up in shorts and flip-flops. I felt the biggest overdressed asshole on the planet. And they kind of laughed at me and they were like, so you didn't get the dress code memo, huh? And they were so down to earth people. Like, I'm talking really down to earth. He was ex-military, so we were cracking bad jokes and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like sweating my ass off in nearly a full suit, and I'm thinking, God, I should have just stuck true to me. They saw right through it. So just stay true to you, and you'll be fine. Yeah. Okay. Any other takeaways? Thanks for sharing that, Jennifer. I appreciate that. Any other takeaways?
Oh, that was my takeaway. I really appreciate the 2-appointment strategy. Go there and get to know them, and then come back for business. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. You wouldn't.
It's definitely different.
You got to understand that these people again, I took the word transaction out of my vocabulary a couple of years ago. You know, I only really use it if I'm reporting my numbers to my coach, which is like how many transactions this week. But I took the word transaction and just replaced it with relationship. My goal this year was to make 50 relationships, and I made it, you know. And in my database, I know all of my clients, you know, names, obviously. I even put down their dog's name. If I can get their birthdays and anniversaries, like I said, I will do. I put down their home anniversary. I put down their kids' names. If they're, you know, if they divulge they have older kids, I ask the question, oh, great, what are your kids' names? You know, they university, work, which city they're in. Like I take all that down. And I openly share my, you know, my life with them. You know, I'm married. I have 2 stepdaughters, you know, 10 and 8. One's so smart, it's unreal. The other one's a sasshole. Like, I divulge that, you know, and they get to know me a little bit. And, you know, obviously I tell them I'm ex-military a lot of the time. Most of the people I work with have been military or ex-military in the past. A lot of the time they always ask me about whereabouts in England I'm from, because they visited England and they have a story about when they went to England. So that's great. But yeah, just bond with them and get to know them. And then again, you know, send them the Thanksgiving cards and the Christmas cards and the anniversary cards and the home anniversary cards. And if, you know, friend them on Facebook. I've had agents like, oh, I'll never friend any of my clients on Facebook. I don't need them to see me, you know, getting white girl wasted in the Maverick at 2:00 on a Friday night. I'm like, shit, most of my clients would come with me. Like if I was to call one of my clients like, hey, I'm drunk off my ass in the Maverick at 2:00 in the morning, can you come pick me up? They'll be like, absolutely. Where do you need dropping off? Like, that's, you know. So friend them on Facebook and engage with them. Like if you see them posting a picture of, you know, them on a hike, comment. You know, have you tried this hike? Have you tried this place to eat? Stay engaged with them. You know, they almost become part of your sales force. If you engage with them enough and they know you and they like you and they trust you, they become part of your sales force. And yeah, exactly. They're your biggest cheerleaders. I have married, not personally because I'm already married, but I'm ordained. I have married 4 of my clients.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
When asking the question, you know, and they're like, you know, are you married, you know, engaged? And they're like, oh no, we're engaged. I'm like, great, when's the wedding? They're like, oh, we don't know. I'm like, well, hey, if you ever need a guy to marry you, let me know, I can do that. And they're like, seriously? I'm like, yeah, absolutely, I'll do it for free, I love it. And they're like, okay. And then I get a phone call, they're like, well, we're thinking about getting married in August, could you do that? I'm like, absolutely, shit, yeah, hell yeah. So yeah,
Awesome.
I've married 4 of my clients. Like, it's awesome. It's phenomenal.
Nice.
Like you don't get more involved with a client's life than marrying them. And you sure as shit better know their anniversary at that point. You know what I mean? You were there. So yeah, they'll become your biggest cheerleaders, and you'll, you know, and that's again right at the very top of the show. That's a lot of that percentage comes from, you know, referrals from family, friends, past clients, people you know. So database is huge. As newer agents, which Jennifer you are, and Heather you are as well, you won't have a large database, but that doesn't mean you can't start to build one. You know, put your family in there. Okay, your family will be the first people to tell you whether your marketing sucks. Okay, so email, text, market to your family. Like if your mom calls you up and she's like, honey, you've sent me 3 emails this week about how much my home's worth, can you stop sending me emails? You're doing a good job. Keep going. Send her more. All right. Because then one day your mom's going to call you and be like, honey, is my house really worth that much? You go, yes, mom. When do you want to sell? Like that's the goal. So push your data, you know, connect with your family, build your database through your family. Ask them, who do they know that's looking to buy or sell? Lean back into your old work. You know, Jennifer, what did you do before you got into real estate?
Okay, so I have been in property management and leasing apartments since I was 18. So I'm really comfortable with the whole open house and talking to people and marketing. I think what I'm struggling with right now is how to price homes. I guess do CMAs to present to sellers, especially because I keep hearing that appraisers are assholes. And I don't want to, I don't want to tell them, oh yeah, your house is worth this. And then the appraisal comes in and it's like, nope.
Well, if you ever need help, let me know. I'm happy to help you out. CMAs, you know, I struggled with it. I'm not a great numbers guy. I failed high school math. So I hate numbers. They are the enemy. But if you ever need help with an appraiser or with a CMA, let me know. Reach out to me. But yeah, that is one thing. You know, there is always trepidation about, wow, I'm sticking this price tag on this home. Is it worth that? And like literally, you're holding your breath until the appraisal, and then when the appraiser comes in, you're like, yeah, totally knew what I was talking about. Right? Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, I've been there.
Also, Colleen over at Catalina Title, if you email her an address, she'll give you a listing packet by the next day.
Wait, who is that?
Colleen over at Catalina Title. She's in our building. I got an email. I'll find the email address and put it in the chat for you. But yeah, she'll get it to you next day, and it gives you a low, medium, high. So you kind of know, and it gives you all the comparables. It's really awesome information.
That's awesome.
That's exactly what I'm struggling with. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, the first thing she had me do was request a listing packet on my own house. That way I can feel and can see what all the information is inside of it.
And you just ask Colleen for that.
And it's free.
What? Yes. Okay, I need to do this. I love it.
Jennifer, which office are you in?
What was that?
What office are you in?
Oh, I'm in KLP.
Okay. If I'm ever across that way, I will stop in and help you with CMAs. There's a really easy way of doing an easy CMA through the tax records, actually.
Ooh, interesting.
So if you actually go to the CRS tax records, right across the top of the tax records, it says comparables. And you hit that and you can change the filter of times, distance, you know, plus or minuses of square footage, and it will pull up everything in whatever filter you put in. And I will tell you right now, those prices are, yeah, pretty spot on.
Interesting. So, okay, awesome.
You know what? Let me see if I can. I'll show you right now. Yeah, get off this. Okay, let's see if I can. Okay, is everybody okay if we just go over 11 o'clock by a few minutes?
Absolutely.
Jennifer's like, show
I
me
thought
the
it was
goddamn
going
comp.
until 12. I
No,
literally thought.
Apparently it's going till 11, so yeah, I'm confused too.
Well, it used to go to 12. In August, it went till 12.
Well, it's Friday. I finish things early on Friday, so you know, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. We can start drinking. The KWSA team are just like, oh my God, is he talking about drinking already? That's fine.
Where's Kayla at?
Yeah, Kayla's like red flagging, like sending me a private message.
Heard my name. Do you guys need me?
No.
Like the magic genie. I'm sorry.
We were just talking about day drinking. Don't worry about it.
Well, it's already 6 in England.
Exactly. There we go.
Are you done with your materials?
Pretty much. We're talking about comparables right now.
Okay, so I'm not sure if Dan will be jumping on the call afterwards, but you guys feel free to, when you're done, Matt, wrap up. And that's a wrap for the week. Oh, I see Dan. Okay.
Are you telling me that Matt actually went to 11 and that's it?
No, we're still talking. We're still going through stuff.
Oh, good. Just making sure. I was like, do I need to bring you an energy drink or something to get you that going?
No, we're still good. Okay, so Jennifer, where are you? Okay, there you are, Jennifer. Right. So I'm going to share my screen with you. So an easy way to do comparables is if you go to a listing and then go to the tax records. Okay, so this is one of mine that's actually under contract right now. This is your tax record, which you've probably seen before, right? Everybody's seen this. right here, if you hit comparable, it actually pulls up your comparables for you. So if you scroll down, you can change your parameters. So within the last 12 months, within the distance from the subject property, plus or minuses on square footage, plus or minuses on acreage. So I generally do within 6 months and then resubmit it. And there we go. We have 4 comparables. And there they all are. And then at the very top, it gives you your average sales price, 401,000.
So that's in Tucson.
That's in 49. Yeah, this is my listing in 49ers. I pulled up one of my listings. It's under contract.
Yeah, but I'm saying you're the link. You're in Tar.
Yep. So you start from TAR. Yeah, go right from your listing. Go to right up here where it says CRS tax info, and then it opens this up. It actually opens the property up. It gives you your property tax record, and then from there you hit comparables, and it'll give you your comparables.
I'm new to Tar. I was in We Serve over there in the Mesa area, and then the Globe MLS.
Okay.
So cool.
And then if you hover over each one of these, look, it will pull up the address, and then you can actually go click here, and it'll take you right to the MLS report for that property.
Nice.
Okay, so for that property, for example, if you went up, there's 3 different prices. What price did you present to?
I always go with the average sales price.
Average sales price.
Yeah. Now, one thing to be aware of is, you may want to scroll down and go through each of these and look at, for instance, this one here is at 227 a square foot. This one here is at 216 a square foot. These 2 are really dragging it down by $160 a square foot and $153 a square foot. So you may want to eliminate those 2 out of your search because that average square foot price is being dragged down. And then obviously, as you'll see, it now struggles to give you an average sales price because it doesn't have enough properties. Now, this is just this area, for instance, but you could, if you wanted to, take the square footage of your home and multiply it, let's say, by split the difference, $220 a square foot. And that would give you, so 23, let's do that real quick. 2321 times 220 gives you an average price of 510.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it can really assist you and help you to, understand and do comparables. But again, you've also got to then, I always go and look at the actual MLS profile sheets, look at, is the property actually comparable? Is it made with the same materials? Is it, that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Will they show you pictures and stuff in the MLS report?
Yep. So like go, look at this, and it basically pulls you up the MLS report. And then from there, you can go and look at all the photos. Like this one's been completely remodeled. So, it looks nothing like mine. You know what I mean? So then you can start to eliminate them. But yeah, that's where I always go right from the very get-go is go to CRS, go to comparables and go from there. Does that help?
So much.
Yay. I helped somebody today, Ma.
No, that's awesome. It's like, I think that was my biggest fear was I'm going to tell someone that their house is worth this much, and then the appraisal is going to come in and it's nowhere close to what I said. And then it's like, they instantly hate me.
So from there, if you use the tax records, now the tax records, that's pretty realistic. Everything gets put through the tax records, right? Because everybody gets taxed on everything. So if you print that off and you go through the properties and you look at the square footages and you analyze and you delete the properties that are so way off that they're wrong, but you keep the ones that are really right and you print that off and you've got that number at the top, you know, that's also something you can go to the appraiser with or leave for the appraiser. Like all of my listings when it comes to appraisal time, if there's been upgrades made, I leave receipts of the upgrades. I leave the tax record print off with the comparables, and I leave the MLS sheet for all the comparables on that list that I've used. Okay. The appraisers, some appraisers just look at that and file 13, throw it straight in the trash, or some appraisers are like, okay, great, I appreciate it. Now I know where he's getting his price from. And I'll be honest with you, I've had some appraisers call me up and say, hey, listen, you know, I got the packet that you left me. I appreciate that. Can you explain more to me about where you got your price from? And I'm like, well, as you'll see, because again, I save a copy of it in my records. You know, I went off properties 1 through 5, square footage. You know, they're comparable because of this, this, and this. But then also, my property has a brand new roof, has a $6,000 water softener system that's in the garage. It's a year old. X, Y, Z, A, B, C, and they go, okay, great, appreciate it. You know, they just want to know what you're basing your price on. If you leave it all up to them, they're going to miss stuff. They will always miss stuff, you know.
Yeah, my friend just bought a house. My friend bought a house, and it was a house that a flipper had done, and it ended up appraising $40,000 less than her sales price, and it messed up her loan, and it was bad. It was $40,000 less.
Wow.
Terrifying. It was like, I recommend that you have your realtor talk to their broker. So they ended up spending and getting another appraisal, which was ironically $10,000 more than the sales. So 2 appraisals completely different.
This year, I had a property in Sahuarita that appraised $20,000 less than my sales price. And the buyer was like, great, $20,000 less, we have to borrow. My seller was like, ain't happening. So we tried to rebut the appraisal, and it never happened. So the deal fell through. Literally 2 days later, got another all price, asking price offer. Different appraiser came in, gave me $3,000 over. Like we're now talking a $23,000 spread in appraisals. It came down to the first appraiser openly admitted in the appraisal, never entered the property, appraised from MLS pictures and drive-by.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So I called him out. I was like, how do you know that, you know, they have this couple actually had a $6,000 top of the line water softener system in the garage. How do you know that? He goes, it's not in MLS. I'm like, you're not meant to just go off MLS. Get your ass out of the car, go in, you know, but that's the problem. So, you know, if you do get a low appraisal, you can, you know, a really low appraisal, you can rebut it. But I've been pretty blessed and pretty lucky doing it this way, that I've only had 1 or 2 that have come in, and it's been maybe a couple of thousand different either way, you know, and the sellers are just like, well, okay, you know, it's 3,000 less than what we asked or what we accepted. That's okay. We can make that work, you know, but the really big drastic ones have generally been an appraiser screw up, not a value screw up.
So I had a really odd situation. Tell me if this has ever happened to you. I had the lender reject the appraisal because he agreed with the price. And the thing is it was rural. It was in Dudleyville. So he's having to reach out to Kearney and Mammoth, I mean, several miles away, because there was no local comparables. And so in the end, he was, you know, reaching back in time, reaching to what was presently on the market, so on and so forth. And he agreed with the price of the property. And the lender didn't like the way he went about getting his comparables and didn't like the way he did it. So he ordered a second appraisal and had my client pay for a second appraisal to check the original appraisal.
Yeah, that's
and the second appraiser agreed with the first appraiser.
Yeah, I'd have made that lender give my client the money back. But
that's what I fought for.
Yeah, absolutely. I've never had that happen, but I can see why, you know, especially if you get very rural properties, appraisers have to go very far out. You know, I had a property that was so rural, they had to do a 10-mile radius to get a property. And at that point, you're changing the complete dynamic of where the subject property is to the property it's been appraised against. You know, it's not apples to apples anymore, it's apples to oranges, and it can happen. But I've never had a lender reject an appraisal, which is bizarre, but hey, never say never. I've also walked on a buying appointment. I walked into a property with a woman breastfeeding a child. So, you know, yeah, that happened. Yeah, true story. So yeah, real estate is a fickle fiend. Okay, any other questions? If not, I'm going to peace out. I'm going to hand over to Big Dan, who's going to continue the rest of the show. Oh, as promised, if you have a pen and paper available, now would be a great time. Please take down my cell phone. If you have any questions, you can text me or call me, and I'll also give you my email. If you want to email me, I will email to you our marketing proposal for you guys to rip off and duplicate. Okay, so phone number is 520-288-0144. And my email is Matt, M-A-T-T, at the, T-H-E, T-J-K, team.com. So Matt at the TJK team.com. All right. Any questions from anybody else? All right. Sounds awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to grace you this Friday morning and hopefully teach you some stuff that you can take away, build upon, and enable you to take more listings, to interact better with sellers, and to ultimately beat the competition, which is what we want. If you have any questions, feel free to text or email me. But it was great meeting you all. Hopefully I'll see you all personally at some point through the office, or we get to work a deal together. That'll be even better. Until then, have a great weekend. And if I don't speak to you or see any of you beforehand, have a wonderful Christmas.
Thank
you. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Matt. Appreciate it.
Bye, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Well, that was neat.
Hey, Dad.
What was your biggest takeaway? What did you learn the most from?
The 2-appointment model.
Yeah.
Okay. What else?
You got to get prepared. It's a lot of work.
All about the preparation. All about the preparation.
Be yourself.
Yeah, definitely be yourself. They're asking you to represent them because of who you are. Who you bring to the table is also Keller Williams. It's your personality. It's your abilities to connect with people. So being you unapologetically is going to be huge for your career on both buyers and sellers. So I'm excited for you guys to get down that path. Do you feel a little bit more comfortable now taking a seller appointment?
Absolutely.
All right. So tell me, let me in on your worlds. Where are we at with your homework? I'd love to hear what you got going on. How many contacts you've added this week? How many people you've talked to this week? How many note cards you've written this week? Heather, start with you.
I didn't keep count, but I have added some of my friends. I'm focusing on my military friends because eventually they might know somebody who's PCSing here, or I can give a referral or something, because they're all over the world. And yeah, you can just stop touching that. Thank you. I'm filling out my Christmas cards with all of their addresses, so adding them into command. I can put this back up here now. Thank you. I don't know, just plugging along, getting used to doing this every day.
What are you finding to be a struggle for you?
Time blocking with a 1-year-old.
Okay, it's very fair. Where are you finding the most success at?
Doing things after he's gone to bed.
Okay.
So I try to message my friends. So, you know, if I can at least get their contact information during the day, I can plug everything in once he's gone to bed.
Can I ask you a question, Heather?
Yeah.
Have you, I don't know do you have anyone that you can like take turns with babysitting? Because I know we have on Facebook, I'm part of a Tucson homeschool group, and it's always like only 2, maybe 3 kids. They try to get together at a park, or like both kids will go to that house for a day, and then the next day, like they'll take turns so that they can have a break, especially now with distance learning and kids not going to school. Like people who work from home are going nuts. So like if you have like a Facebook group.
I have a teenager who I can leverage, but I mean, like yesterday, I don't think I saw her till like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And unfortunately, my husband is useless during the week. And I see him for like half an hour.
How old is your teenager?
She's almost 14.
Okay, so my daughter is 15 and my son is 14, and I have employed them both. I told them I will pay them once I start making money, because you can write off $12,000 a year for each of them. So I have both of them writing my handwritten notes for me, because I mean I work full time on top of it. But it might be beneficial to be like, you're 14. How much longer until you need to buy a car? Like we'll start putting money in the bank as soon as I make money, but you're my employee.
I do pay her to babysit.
Sorry.
You're all right.
It's just because you're talking to us and not him. That's every time. It's okay.
It is, and he's starting to get tired.
Yeah.
He's not the best sleeper. Yeah, it's like it took me months to get my license because it didn't occur to me that I could use my teenager to babysit so that I could study, you know?
That's the one thing I kind of laughed when you said I've got my teenager I can leverage. Before Keller Williams, would you have ever thought about leveraging your kid?
No.
And I love it. Like Jennifer's right. She's got hers like cracking whips. So that's all about it. And as soon as my son's old enough, I will have him doing the same. So it's beautiful. So I love the ideas there. Groups, partner up, leverage your kid, utilize aspects where you can help build, because it's all about finding a way to get to the success you're looking for. So.
Be like, you guys want cars when you grow up, you better help me make the money to get there.
This is fair. You know, my parents bought my first car, but my husband's like, no, we're not doing it.
Nope, I'm making my kids work for their cars. The only thing is they're going to be working for me.
I mean, my car was older than me, and we got it from my grandparents. So it's not like it was a brand new car or anything, but.
Oh, Bubba Bear, you're okay. All right, Miss Letha, what about you? How's your week? How's it looking? How we added? What are we working through?
Well, I've got a list of about 50 people that I actually need to put into my database that I've contacted. I did an awesome cheat for my cards. I've got cards now. What I did is I went through my husband's database, and all he has is he has the physical address of where his job was, you know, with the name, the email, and the phone number, and all that good stuff.
Yes.
So I went through the parcel information to find out where they mail their tax records to. So I had a mailing address. Went that direction.
There you go. Get some information on people you had experience with before, and people like cards. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
And then I didn't ask Heather on the two of yous. Do you have people set up in your command for smart plans?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Lisa?
Working all birthdays.
A lot. Everybody that I have an email in a neighborhood on, I set them up on a smart plan. The funny thing is last night I had a conversation with Tanya Reddish, who is actually my sponsor, asking me, hey, where did that email come from? Did you generate that in command? It's like, yeah. She goes, oh, I haven't figured out how to do that. I'm still in the old system. So I have an appointment Monday to go teach her how to use command.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Tell her she needs to join these classes. I don't care how long you've been in the business or anything like that. People need to be engaged and be involved, and it's all about getting the best and highest use of the functions that we have for you. So
right. And even if she feels she knows it, she could be an asset to the other ones that don't.
Right. Awesome. Well, Jennifer, you're next. How are we doing on our stuff? I know we talked a little bit last night, but how's your business? How are contacts, and no cards going? You said you had a stack of them for me.
I am so excited right now for this weekend. It's Chris and I's anniversary, and we decided for our anniversary, he's going to teach me how to door knock, because I'm a little bit nervous about actually knocking on the doors instead of just leaving something. But he mentioned, because he's been door knocking all week, that people, as long as you knock on the door and stand like 6 feet back, or at least at a distance, people are craving human interaction. And he said he remembered people that slammed the door in his face last year that were just wanting to chit chat, just talking and like, oh yeah, well, what are you doing in the neighborhood? Like they actually want to talk to people. So we are going tomorrow and possibly Sunday to go door knock and kind of get a feel for the neighborhood, hopefully get some phone numbers, some emails, and set up some appointments.
That's a good deal.
That's our goal.
That's awesome. That's a hell of an anniversary present.
Yeah. He's really good at it. He's really, really good at talking to strangers. And I'm like, help me.
I know the style.
Yep. And you guys are very similar. You're very similar in your approaches.
I noticed that yesterday.
Yeah.
When he joined in the conversation. It was like he was taking script right out of Big Dan's book.
Yeah, the things that were said, because we were muted, he was like, now here's what I would say. And he was going off on like these crazy things. And I'm like, that is brilliant. Like, he's like, oh yeah, because I think we were talking about how so-and-so said you were having some drinks and mentioned talking about selling your house. And he's like, now what I would say is, have you tried the whiskey? Have you tried this? Like, and he started just totally going into rapport and relationships, and my mouth was dropped and I was laughing because the script, it was like two different perspectives, but I kind of put them together and I just need to make it work for me. But pretty brilliant. I'm excited.
It's all about asking good questions and create a relationship real quick. So Mr. Chris, I know you got some listings coming live. How's our contact database? How's things growing?
Good. I got marketing loaded in, a lot of contacts from banking and COIs. To be honest, I haven't had a whole lot of time to start digging into it. I probably need to get someone to work through with me how to work CRM. What I want to do first is set up some kind of a holiday greeting to go out and announcing that I'm in the business and what I'm doing. And right now I've been trying to get the two listings, which went live to this morning. I think I got the signs out there, the agent owner dangler on them. Tomorrow I'm going to have one of our shaved ice trucks out there, and I'm going to put signs out on Speedway and Alvernon, kind of directing traffic in to the houses and see what I get. Since I can't really have open houses, hopefully I get some people that want to come by and take a look, and I'll go around the neighborhood and pass out my cards and tell them about the houses for sale. and just make it a marketing day in that neighborhood and see what I can come up with. So I'm excited about that. It's sort of be my first entree into listing a house and finding out what the next steps are.
I like it. So on the need for the marketing thing, it should be pretty simple in command. Creating a campaign for your emails. I think Jesse went over some of that yesterday in the marketing class, if I'm not mistaken. But there's also some videos out there on the YouTube land of how to do the campaigns. So start with that. There are some great templates. So go into designs under emails and look at the templates they have. And you can customize some of those holiday ones and just add that you're in real estate or like a reintroduction that you can utilize to send out. And then all we have to do is create a campaign, click send.
So is it difficult? Do you have to choose each single one individually, or can you just choose all emails and have it sent in mass?
Yeah, you would just have to create a mass list. That's all.
Okay. Because I think I have like 1,200 names in there that I put in from marketing, 2 different big lists of people that I've known from business in the past. So, it doesn't hurt to try to contact them, and, they can just, if they're not interested, they can send me an email back saying, hey, leave me alone or whatever. But I doubt anybody's going to do that if you send out a holiday greeting, in my opinion.
That's definitely the sentiment is if they don't respond, okay, just keep them on the email. If they opt out, they opt out. But yeah, create a list in command. So go to your campaigns, list management, create a list of all the names. Just put a list together that says all. You'd have to select them and then add to list, and then create that design template and send it out.
Okay.
So I say it sounds pretty easy, but once you're in there playing around with it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. There are some videos to help. Miss Victoria, I know you haven't really been on, so you don't know really what the daily tasks are. One thing we focus on is adding 10 contacts to our database every day, talking to 10 people from our database every day, and then handwriting notes to 10 of those people every day to engage at a higher level and start creating some relationships to have referrals out there. So being that you're in the business currently and you've got some deals going, it may be pretty easy for you to have those 10 people to talk to.
Yes.
And that's what the daily execution is.
Mm-hmm. Which is that, that's what the goal is every day, 10 contacts. Anyways, that's what we do.
Yep.
So I have been doing that. And today I'm going to a listing appointment, which is, so I'm going to try the technique that Matt taught us today, or, I'm going to just go in and look at the place. And so that's what I'm going to be doing. Can you give us a second? How that works. Hi, can you give us a second? That gives me Thank you. Kind of results I get. So I have been enjoying everybody, the speakers, because I'm getting different ideas from everyone, and it's just, it's been good.
That's good. We like those ideas help you grow, and that's what this is all about.
Yeah.
So, it is 11:29. You have 30 minutes left of your time blocking for today. I want you to get out there, start making some forward calls. What's a forward call? F stands for what?
Family, occupation, recreation, and dreams.
Yep.
Perfect. Hey, this is Dan Cole at Keller Williams. How are you? How's your family? How are things going at work? What are you guys doing to stay busy? What are you doing with the new year? Simple calls add a lot of value. Do your DTD2s, doing the database 2 letters at a time. If you need that metrics of letters and numbers, it's in our Facebook group. It's one of the announcements. It's right there posted. Plus, I've sent it out in an email prior. We'll get that back out to you guys later on. But we want to make sure you have that resource so you can call people in a strategic and systematic method. But none of these classes is ever going to work unless you do. So get out there, make some phone calls, make some happiness, lead generate. Remember, it takes on average 12 contacts to get a lead, 5 leads to get an appointment, 2 appointments to get a closing, 60 contacts per closing, or it's 120 contacts per closing. So if I told you you needed 120 conversations to close a deal, would you make 121 conversations? There you go. I just told you. Have a wonderful Friday, guys. I will send out this email shortly with the link as soon as it downloads. We'll be here for you this weekend if you need me. Have a blessed day. Happy Friday.